Hello, YouTube and X. Yeah, I'm running a couple minutes late. Just trying to finish some things before I got started. And I was actually looking for some videos, but I didn't get any videos. I was looking for a live stream, but I didn't quite find the live stream. So I don't know. But let me know if you guys see anything, what a live stream or um anybody talking about the ZBCN live from Vegas. But until then, I guess we can check out the screen share and see what we can see. This is the ZBCN. Actually, this is ZBCN. This is the BTM Crypto News Network. So thanks for joining. This is, thank you, Paulo, for 1,000 followers. Major announcement today at XRP Vegas. So let's see if we can find a live stream. What up, Silver? What up, Casso? What up, Alfred? What's going on, fam? And there was this one from earlier, so we'll play it and see if we can get caught up. Let me see. Look at the bubbles real quick. Litecoin's up 1.2, Mon's up 2.4, Alchemy pays up 6.8, Zcash is up 4.9, Storms is up 10.1, AIXBT is up 12.8. And before we get too into it, this is current holders is 103,128. Looks like we picked up 31 on 4 hours, 51 in 53 in 12 hours. For the day, 156, 3 days, 84. A week, 1,255. 2 weeks, 2,228. And for 30 days, 3,738. So almost 4,000 holders in a month, which is record numbers. So this is the live stream from the Zebec Network.
Down to be at the end of last year, was everybody making their predictions, and the biggest one was, well, it's the year of the institutions, 2026, and I think it's pretty clear.
Then also briefly XRP.
We've seen this market bit strange, to say the least. I think we've been in sort of a sideways pattern for the last couple of months. XRP itself is down 25% year to date.
What's going on, Peter? I can barely hear this. Let me see if we can find something.
Get invested in this. Why should we be interested in this?
We'll keep this
What
playing.
are you hearing from institutions when they say, okay, here's a digital asset company?
Not sure why the sound is so low. If you guys can hear us, turn the volume up a little bit there, guys.
Are coming in. What exciting time to be in blockchain. However, wait, no, that was good.
There's a lot.
And listen, if Clarity Act doesn't happen, that's even better. We want this to last, forever, right? And so let's make it forever, guys. Let's get clarity passed. But nevertheless, XRP is in great standing. This is the moment. Look at the metrics of adoption. I couldn't be happier. Yeah, I wish this happened 10 years ago. This is my 13th year in blockchain, so I wish it happened a long time ago, but it's here and it's happening, and I'm excited to be in the front center.
Yeah.
Through bull markets, bear markets, skeptical headlines, and legal
Like an energetic
I love it.
battles, we never wavered. We thrived, we built, and today.
Not only one cup of coffee this morning. I'm like,
What's going on, fam? I don't know if this is live or not. I can't tell.
Pushback from legacy institutions.
Well, I guess it's not live. That solves that problem.
Very difficult
Good.
talking to the Morgan conference, by the way. This is way more exciting.
Yeah, there's not as many suits here, right?
Well, why am I wearing a tie? That's a nice jacket.
No tie though.
No tie. Oh, yeah, you can have my tie up.
So I want to talk about the sort of pitch to institutions around.
No, sitting back a little bit, bro.
XRP.
Too much.
Pitch super speedy, way for money to exchange across borders. You say that pitch is now evolving, and I'm curious to know what institutions are seeing beyond that pitch. What's the value prop there?
Yeah, so hey, I think that the first use case around payments that had a lot of merit. That was a great starting point. But from day one, the XRP electrics do so much more. And kudos to the creators that of thinking about like this future 20 years before everyone else. But the ability to tokenize is something that we need to tell more folks about. And listen, I think if you did go and you asked, Wall Street,
The future we build
financial
together.
what's the
As
best
I wrap
flagship
up, let's recap.
financial
Ripple is
application?
doubling your
I don't think
XRP.
they would flinch. I think they
If
would
you
say
hold between
XRP,
1,000 and
but I
1
wanna
million
make sure that they
XRP,
also
scan the
understand
QR
that
code to
we're
verify
talking
your
about
balance.
and payments. This future world of tokenization of everything, every financial product out there, and that market cap is in the trillions, right? Today it's only $23 billion, tokenized globally, but that market's huge. And I want folks to know that XRP is the best platform to tokenize this future. And so that is evolving out there. And I think we just gotta make sure more and more folks know. And guess what? Everyone is going to be.
For 3T Warrior Academy and Freedom Insurance. Super excited to be here. Jackie?
I am Jackie. I am the CIO of the 3T Warrior Academy. I'm also part of the Freedom Insurance team.
My name is Jeremy. I am the Chief Financial Officer of 3T Warrior Academy, and I just want to give a big shout out to Dustin behind the scenes and Josh behind the scenes for making this whole thing possible.
Our entire team. And Kelly.
Yeah.
Our
Oh, and
entire
Kelly
team.
doing all. I mean, we have one of the most amazing teams. We have one of the most amazing teams.
Yes.
And this has been such an amazing experience. But not only has it been an amazing experience so far at XRP Las Vegas, because you've just been bombarded with people since you've been here, right?
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. It's been awesome. Just the love for the whole team. It's been overwhelming. It's really cool to see the team, the coaches coming up too. Everybody's getting recognized, which is awesome. Johnny did phenomenal on stage. I heard. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, Johnny went up on stage. He talked about the importance of the XRP or Ripple blockchain in the Web3 technologies and why it's important to take profit. So he was up there with another gentleman. I forgot the other gentleman's name because I was mainly focused on Johnny being the CEO,
As you should.
right? Being the CEO of Merlin. But Johnny did a great job, and it's really cool to see him go from the Good Morning Crypto show that was on the 3T Warrior Academy. Now he has the Good Evening Crypto show. But when he mentioned that, there were people that watched the show. So there was, a lot of,
That's
shouting and hooting going on for that. So it was really cool to see Johnny do that. And what I was really excited about was Johnny was in a suit. And usually he's in his cut off. He never has sleeves on, and he's always in his
He looks
Merlin
snazzy
shirt.
in that suit, though.
Yeah,
He's
he
lost a
really
ton of
lost
weight.
so much weight.
Like 40
I'm so
pounds?
proud. Yeah, 40
Yeah, he looks
pounds.
fantastic, man.
Yeah, he looks
awesome.
really, really
Awesome,
good. You look
awesome.
ripped right now.
Thank you.
He is.
Getting yoked. I said I'd be in the best shape of my life at 50 years old.
Yep.
So I had some serious goals. But I want to say something really quickly. I want to say thank you guys so much for your support of this book. It is going viral. And I want to say it wouldn't have happened without the amazing team behind it. Number two is our amazing community. They launched it on Friday, and it is going viral. We hit #1 in 5 categories. We hit #1 best-selling international author. We hit number 13 out of all books on Amazon, over 30 million authors. And we are #1 over some of my people I looked up. I don't want to use idol. That's not the word I want to use. But people I really looked up to, Ray Dalio, Robert Kiyosaki, I know Mel Robbins is in there, Dave Ramsey, people that I read their books and I went through the process. And just to be in the number one spot in the moment in time, we're going to stay in the number one spot, though, because we are building the future of the financial system. We are working with the 3T Warrior Academy, Freedom Insurance, and all of our ecosystems, Merlin's smartest way to track your crypto. And we're helping people understand how to navigate this new system. So as we sit here today in XRP Las Vegas, we're in a really interesting time and historical time right now. We got the Straits of Hormuz closed down, which is interesting. We saw the bond, you were talking about the bond yields. They're collapsing right now. The bond market's collapsing. We have a private credit market collapse. And what we're here to do is teach people. I've been telling people this. When the recession hits, we win. When the bull run hits, we win. It's because we've taken the middle ground and built ecosystem. So what is the biggest thing you guys have seen in the conversations you've had?
I was just gonna jump in there. One of the biggest things that I have been, talking to people here at this conference, you ask them, okay, are you positioned in crypto? Everyone here is positioned in crypto, especially XRP. We're at an XRP
I
event.
hope so.
Right. And then you ask them, well, what is your plan beyond that? And you almost get a blank stare. And it's understandable, but it's a reflection, honestly, to all of us, because that's where we were at, so many years ago. And then, to then have the conversation with them about building an ecosystem or actually having a plan beyond that, where you can continue to build that flywheel in creating like your actual wealth blueprint is, and then it starts, you start to get the head nod, and it's like, oh yeah, that's what I'm seeking for. And it's almost like an intuitive thing that they are kind of like leaning towards, is like, yeah, I need a structure, or I need something beyond this.
It sounds like everybody really is lacking a system, right? They're kind of praying for the one and only to save them. And so I think that's what we have done such a good job with, that you also talk about in your new book, is the capital DR, and making sure that you have a system, because without having a system, without having a container, your money will never grow. It will never expand. And so it's really important for people to kind of look inward. There's a reason why you're not a millionaire yet.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. That's important too. And I think it's because there's the belief in something, and then there's the reality of what happens, right? So there's the belief in something that, because we all want to believe in something, right? We all want to grab onto something. That's what's beautiful about the XRP community, whether it's Bitcoin community, is it gives you something to focus on. It gives you a community to rely on, right? But what happens when it starts to drag out year 3, year 4, and you can see that energy kind of zapped out of people, where they're like, I thought by this point I was going to be here. And it's like, we have to stop thinking, waiting, hoping, and we have to start building.
What was the biggest thing that happened for you specifically that got you to that point where all like, I need to diversify outside of certain things?
I think the fear, because what I started to see, this is what happened, is when crypto went up, we exited, we did our exit plan. That's how we created Merlin, right? So it was when I saw, and I'm just going to be brutally transparent, like I've been with everybody here, is I saw how many people were actually broke in crypto in the bear market. And that's a truth bomb that people need to hear. Influencers, people that I really looked up to, were really wealthy in the bull market. And as I started to meet more people and peel back the curtain, I was like, wow, you're just wealthy because you're that moment in time during crypto going up, but you have no system outside. And so that's when we started doing our insurance and building real businesses and cash flow. And so that moment when I saw, you call it the Wizard of Oz, when I peeled back the curtain and I saw that it was a person with a microphone yelling, and I'm like, holy shit, like that, there's people aren't building, and we were building real businesses. And so that's when I realized, I'm like, okay, I got to put the blinders on. I got to stay focused. It doesn't matter what all the noise is. What is it we're doing? So that's when I really saw it.
And people are disappointed, right? Like you can feel it, you can hear it in the story. I mean, we heard a few this morning that they said, I have not initiated yet on the protection side of capital DR because I'm still waiting to hit price points with crypto. And the universe doesn't work like that. You have to set up the system first, and then your money can flow to it. So I always describe this as like the riverbanks, right? Without the riverbanks, our money would be leaking. And so,
I love that you brought that into a universal context, because that's how I always, going deeper in that, and we can all relate to that in terms of like correlating money and wealth to like an energy and a frequency, right? And so it's so much so that we constantly hear, oh, I just want to retire, or I want to quit or not do anything. But that was really truly the differentiation of when we took it to the next level of
Yep.
our wealth building, was just what you said, was continuing to build systems, but it's giving back, right? So that universal law, you cannot get if you do not give. And so
Correct.
the more you can give, the more you can build, the more you can help actually provide resources or education to
Yep.
other people.
Yep.
The universe will attract more to you
Yeah.
in wealth building context,
Yep.
and it will allow you to go to the next level.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
a-
I've seen that so much just with our team. It's wild.
Yeah, karma or goodness or whatever you want to call it. That's one of the things that I found over all these years of doing all of this, is that the more that you give, it's like the more that you receive back to then give more and then to take care of you and your family as well. And I also feel too, and I don't know, we used to talk a lot about the frequency, but I also think that if you get in the right frequency and then you work on yourself to stay in that frequency, then all the goodness keeps coming to you, but then you're still giving that goodness out, and it keeps you in that frequency to continue to grow.
Well, I think like reciprocity. Like, how long did you work for free for the company?
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years. He worked. A lot of people don't realize he worked for about 5 years for free for the company, and is a completely different financial picture now. But it's like
completely different now.
the moment we were in, it's like we both worked for free for a long time, and then when we made this commitment, Jeremy and I, we're like, when we start building wealth, we have to make sure everybody around us becomes wealthy. And so anybody who's a business entrepreneur or an investor, right? Like you said, you can't just sit there and hold on to something, and money escapes people's hands like that. Like it's like a law of the universe. Like if you're just holding and like you're fearful and you're like, oh, I'm hoping XRP goes up. It's like, it's trying to get out of your hands. And people need to understand it's trying to escape your matrix and trying to get to people that are going to make it currency. You know,
money likes to move. I love that. Let's talk a little bit about, because we've been at the conference every single year for what is
Since
this,
the
our fourth
beginning.
year?
This is the
Yeah,
fourth
yeah.
year. And we were the first. I just want to. We were like, if we
I
were the
remember.
only, or maybe there was one other
was just
table.
us.
They had other sponsors, but we were the only table. Was at the very first XRP Las Vegas. Was our specific table. We were the only one.
Yeah,
I remember that.
So do you remember our very first conference? So I had come out here with one of our team members, and then texted you guys, and I was like, you guys need to get out here, because obviously we're really big into XRP, and we had been at the very, very start. And then you guys had come, and then that's when you had met Brad Kimes. And
at Apex. That was at an Apex conference,
wasn't
right?
it? Apex?
oh, that
was at an
that's
Apex.
right.
And I'm like running down the hall at David.
Yeah, you were chasing.
David
You were
Schwartz,
chasing.
and I was chasing David Schwartz
That's
down the
right.
hall so CJ could get a picture.
That's
And he was
right.
really nice
He was
about
cool,
it. He
yeah.
was really cool about it.
That's right.
Do you remember that?
I
We were
do.
staying in the Circus.
Was that our first one? And then we
Well,
decided-
that was the first Apex. That was the first time that we
Oh,
came
sorry,
out.
that was our first-
Apex. And then I think that the first XRP Las Vegas was in Circuit. I don't remember.
God,
I don't remember
what
the
was
hotels.
it? Because we did our meet and greet. Was the meet and greet based on a conference?
I don't remember.
No, the meet and greet was just a
I
free
think
meet
the
and greet.
meet and greet
No,
was
that was
separate.
our first
Oh,
conference. Sorry,
yeah,
I was
okay.
getting that mixed up. And
With
but no,
Apex.
with yes,
Apex.
I was
Okay.
blending all the times together.
Well, it's
to
because
be involved.
we've been
We've had
doing
so
this
much
so.
fun.
Yeah.
We've had a lot
Right.
of fun coming to
As a
Vegas
team.
every year.
But we've
multiple
grown
times.
a lot. Like
Yeah.
think
Okay,
about
yeah,
today
from-
where
yeah,
we're at. Like
yeah.
where
What is success like for you and for the company?
Yeah. So listen, it is my job out here to make everyone successful. And what does success mean? I want to get out there and I want to lead this idea of financialization on the blockchain, and specifically XRP. Want to bring new products out there to the ecosystem as well, new features like XLS 66, the lending protocol on XRP, and then grow the digital asset treasury. So there's different mechanisms once you're a public company that you can deploy to grow the digital asset treasury as well, to make it larger and put more and more of that to work. So as this world, I'm thinking about as this world is all tokenized, I want to make sure that we're a big part of that future. That's going to be a massive $1 trillion opportunity once those assets become more and more tokenized.
Amazing. Give it up for Sheets, everybody. CEO of Evermore. Thanks, sir. All right. Well, the main event has arrived. Who's here to see Brad? All right. Well, I will not beat around the bush, and I have the pleasure of introducing and interviewing for the second time this year. The last time I sat down with Brad was in November of last year, but I'm honored to do it again. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse.
I don't want to put attention to myself.
Yeah. That's standing ovation now. How are you?
Nice to see you.
You too.
Good to be back in Vegas.
I was gonna say, welcome back to Vegas. This is our fourth iteration of the XRP Las Vegas conference. I remember the OG group at Treasure Island.
I remember it well.
Yeah. I actually
We're much more
I'd say organized, and just look at this crowd. I mean,
it's indicative, I think, of how far we have come.
Yeah.
I think the opportunity is even further, but it's been an amazing journey to watch. And obviously, some of the regulatory stuff has been a very important part of the chapter the last 4 years. I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit, but it's really magical to see the number of people that are here, the engagement level, seeing the XRP brand up and down the strip. It's pretty cool.
because usually XRP Las Vegas happens at the same time as Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin conference is in Vegas. But I think this year you really knew the XRP conference was in Vegas. Maybe more so than Bitcoin.
Well, I will say our goal was not to take anything away from Bitcoin. Like I mean that genuinely.
Yeah, you did. Okay.
But like I, as you guys have heard me say before, I believe in a multi-chain world. I do think you're seeing the bear market impact, and I didn't go over to the Bitcoin conference this year. I did last year, but look, the energy from the XRP community is palpable. I will say one thing that's kind of interesting that is not widely known. You like, this isn't a public announcement, right? We're just talking, just two of us.
Yep.
Who here is going to the Sphere? Okay, I'm calling for an XRP boycott of the Sphere, and I want to tell you why. We tried to do XRP on the Sphere. We thought that'd be pretty cool. They said they would do Bitcoin and ETH and not XRP. That's true.
That's a scary.
And the way I look at it, thank you to our chief marketing officer, Ripple, it actually ended up saving us money because we spent all that money up and down the strip. It's like, it worked out better.
Did they say what?
Someone was making a judgment within that organization, and we thought about kind of escalating, but honestly, when that stuff happens, I'm just like, you know what? We will take our money elsewhere.
Sound like you have dealt with things like that in the last several years.
We have fought a number of good fights. As some of you guys know, I sometimes refer to the XRP army as the XRP family, but sometimes we have to go to war, and then it's the XRP army.
And the army shows up.
Yes.
I did want to congratulate you on 11 years as the hero of Ripple.
Yeah. Great.
Although I think half of that was spent litigating.
Fighting the fight.
Yeah, so it's probably not what you imagined when you went into the job.
For sure. And like at some point, I think there'll be maybe books written about the whole experience, but it's crazy to look back on that experience. And I do think some of the behaviors that I think emerged into this landscape during that fight. But I also, I'm an optimist. I focus on some of the good stuff. And I mean, I tweeted about this, like the difference of Paul Atkins to Gary Gensler. It's just like, wow. In less than a year, they provided structure and clarity. Expressive Christ. Gensler was there for 4+ years. Why did we take the time? You just hired more lawyers to go sue people as opposed to actually, let's write down how we view this. And even if I disagree with it, at least it's clear. In retrospect, I really do think I don't really understand why they made some of the decisions they did in that era.
It's been a journey to get here, and
Sure.
yeah. So I want to get into a lot of things with you. I know we've got limited time, so I'm gonna race through these questions.
All right.
But
Well, I think the questions are sheesh. But at Ripple, I get made fun of for stealing my team's thunder. Well, she stole a bunch of my thunder today.
Jesus, lady.
it's worried that he wasn't gonna measure up to being, your opening act, but he did great.
Yeah, I thought he was great. He did outdress me. I went to he wore a tie. He's now like a public company CEO, so he can't say shit. I can actually.
Well, I think we all remember the SEC shirt.
Oh, we can't say that.
I've never sworn on stage. I don't know if I'm gonna start now.
That got a lot of attention. I don't regret that though. Some of you know, I wore a T-shirt to a speaking engagement at Cantor Fitzgerald conference in Miami. I wore a sport coat, but underneath the sport coat, I wore a T-shirt that did say "F the SEC."
All right. Well, let's bring it back to the community because y'all all here is XRP Las Vegas. Community is bigger than ever. And how do you think about Ripple's role, Ripple's engagement with the XRP community these days? Ripple is very much involved with institutions and enterprises these days as you come back to the US, as you're growing. But how do you see your role in the XRP?
Yeah. Look, I always thought it was kind of funny and strange that people questioned Ripple's commitment to XRP. Today, Ripple is still the largest holder of XRP on the planet. We are the most interested party in seeing XRP be successful. We will continue to be the most interested party in seeing XRP be successful. And so whenever I read people kind of questioning that, I just think it doesn't make sense logically. And it's obviously not what I've said publicly. And Ripple's extremely committed to how do we make XRP the most useful digital asset? How do we make it the most liquid digital asset? How do we make it the most trusted digital asset? And if we can do those things at the same time, but do those things by selling products and services to financial institutions, to capital markets around what we now call Ripple Prime. I mean, Ripple Treasury is and by the way, the other thing people don't know, part of the reason why we did the XRP and Ripple Treasury ads on the strip is the main competitor to Ripple Treasury is called Kyriba. And they were doing their customer conference the last few days here.
Very nice.
Trolling. We had some wrapped buses that said Ripple Treasury picking people up from the Kyriba conference.
I think, you make a good point. I think a lot of people have, you're right, questioned Ripple's loyalty, as it were, to XRP. I think when he rolled out the stablecoin, people were like, "Oh, it's going to be the replacement for XRP."
Yeah,
and
look, I get it. I also, and maybe this is somewhat frustrating to the XRP community sometimes, but I don't feel the need to constantly update the whole world about our strategy because to some degree that just informs people who want to compete against us. And so, like we're going to do things that may not at first blush make crystal clear sense. But I swear to you, even if it doesn't have a direct line from point A to point B being good for XRP, it may be point A to point B to point B to point C. It's all in service of how do we do things that expand, grow, and drive liquidity, utility, and trust in XRP. And I will keep saying those things, keep building around that. I mean, Ripple now is 1,500 people strong. We're having a record year in a ton of different ways.
Just got back from traveling to your global constituents.
We did do a round the world trip, which that was I'm not doing that. That was too hard.
A lot.
We did Dublin, London, Singapore, Sydney in 1 week, which was not that was too much.
Do you see on your travels, were there any use cases outside of the ecosystem for XRP that caught your eye?
I mean, like I've talked about this a little bit before. I mean, there's a bunch of things that Ripple doesn't focus on that I think, and Ashish did a great job talking about some of these. The tokenization of various asset classes, I think, is inevitable. There's a bunch of things around that are outside Ripple's scope, and we want to see other people pursue. some of those people are obviously the XRP ledger, some of the vision that the David Schwartzes of the world had 13, 14 years ago is just unbelievable to me. It really was the first decentralized exchange. The innate organic tokenization frameworks of issuing assets are kind of built in at the base level. And there's a bunch of industries that I don't know that much about. I read about things like bond settlement. Bond settlement is slow, it is arcane, and it is absurd to think about how that works in a world of the internet. And I think it's only a matter of time before you see things like bond settlement move to on-chain. And to the extent Ripple can help catalyze those things to leverage the XRP ledger, fabulous. But again, I don't want to leave people with the impression it is going to be a multi-chain world. The XRP ledger is exceptionally good at some things and not good at some other things. And that's okay. Like, also by design, like, that's good. Because if you try to be all things to all people, you're going to be less good at other things. You're going to slow the transaction speed down. You're going to impact cost per transaction. You're going to
Here it comes.
underlying infrastructure that's really good for certain things, and let's invest and go after those things.
What?
I think there's been just a little criticism about how, Ripple as a company is just this behemoth now of just wealth, right? You guys have made so many acquisitions. You guys are valued around, you tell me, and I have this number, it's 15.
So Ripple did a share buyback at a mark of $50 billion.
$50 billion, that's right. So $50 billion. And, I think someone suggested recently that there could be a way where Ripple does some kind of like XRP token buyback, right? In order to, have the XRP community could, have some kind of like share in Ripple's wealth. And I understand that's like not, Ripple the company is separate from the XRP ledger, separate from XRP the token. But you always go back to the notion that, XRP is key to everything that Ripple does. Is that something you have explored or anything that Ripple would ever really think about?
Well, I mean, so a long circuitous way, like another example of tokenization dynamics, the private markets for secondary private companies is not efficient. And, some people, unfortunately, got caught up in this, I'm sure, got caught up in the Link 2 bankruptcy, which your Link 2 today owns a bunch, I think, a few, thank you, I don't know exactly, the 3% of Ripple's equity, which is great. Now, that being said, now that they're in this bankruptcy, Ripple's in kind of this awkward position where it's like, do we keep it at arm's length? I think some people like to see us buy that 3%. Then we're in some ways at odds with the community that owns it because we want to buy it back at the cheapest possible price. That's our fiduciary obligation, but they want to get the maximum price. So the likelihood is we just look, let's let Link 2 do Link 2. It's kind of, I think, wrapping up through the bankruptcy process, and there's a structure to sell some of those shares. And the secondary market will go however it goes. The long-term dynamic, we have not prioritized going public for a whole bunch of reasons. I mean, one of them is if you pay attention to IPOs like BitGo and Gemini, these haven't done particularly well.
Kraken put off their IPO.
Kraken has purportedly delayed their IPO. And so we're just not in a big hurry to go down that path. And I was just joking a little bit about Ashish is now a public company CEO. There's benefits to being private. Like I can get up here and not kind of say whatever the hell I want to say. And I'm not good reason. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to get a call from the SEC or my incredibly talented legal team saying, "Brad, you can't say that shit." I'm excited sometimes, but
I guess the question is, should XRP holders be able to benefit directly?
I did ZBCN, but I do a lot. CN super loud.
trying to catalog things XRP can be. Public.
You should text him that. Yeah.
But I that's not in the immediate term. I think that is kind of like, but I mean, to some degree, you're asking. I'll be critical. I freaking love the XRP family. It is such a fun And so like, I want to do things that are good for the XRP community. Like it is a driving mission. And I hope that when Ripple's thinking about an acquisition, we're thinking about it as, okay, how does that catalyze things within XRP? When we make investments outside of Ripple, how do people adopt XRP? When we help partner, we want a really high class, high quality digital asset treasury company like Evernorth to exist. We think that's good for the community. It's good for Ripple shareholders. We think it's good for everybody. And so, yeah, we want to see that happen, and we'll continue to lean into things like that.
Let's get some policy, because that's my favorite. And I'm going to like talking about it too. You guys were initially approved for a OCC trust charter document.
Down.
Oh, we're going to get there. We got 5 minutes, so we're going to go through this. But the FCC trust charter in December. Now, that was the initial approval. Is there any update on the full approval? What's the timeline you can expect on that?
So the conditional approval, like the conditions, if you will, right? And those are all within very good about that. And first of all, again, I think it's a direction of travel. Seeing Washington lead into be supportive of this industry is a very positive sign. We focused our existing OCC conditional approval around what we're doing with RLUSD stablecoin. And so to have it regulated both with the New York Department of Financial Services, NYDFS, as well as at the OCC federal level, to some degree, it's belt and suspenders. We want to be the most white hat around stablecoins as possible because of our institutional customer base. And we think that served us well. And we're going to continue to lean in. Now, I think that the other part of your question maybe is what else we might want to do there. I mean, look, we're deep in the payments business. And
you guys applied for a master account?
The Fed master account is very much on our radar. And we think that would be a big unlock.
Now there's the skinny master accounts, which Fed Governor Waller has rolled out.
Yeah.
Is that going to be enough for what you guys want to do?
I'm going to dodge that question. I'm transparent, I'm dodging it.
Artfully dodge it.
No, I'm not going to be artful about it. Just tell me I'm dodging it. Ripple believes in a consumed way out. The United States benefits from better financial services infrastructure. Blockchain is a major unlock. People still discount how big that change will be. Payments is a big one. Getting access to a Fed master account, I think, is good for the United States. I think we'll get there.
All right, clarity. So we could see a banking markup potentially next month. But can we just talk about where we are now? I mean, we've been hearing that we're going to get this bill for months. And now it's just maybe getting out of Senate banking next month.
Yeah.
So what's your take on is the bill going to get is that going to get out of the Senate before the midterm elections? Are we going to get a bill before the midterm elections?
Yeah.
The president comes down.
So look, I mean, I have gotten way too knowledgeable about how this shit works. And
so have I.
This is not something I've spent most of my career as a techie in Silicon Valley. I moved to Miami, but I'm still, I guess, techie from Silicon Valley. The good news has been Ripple has an absolute full seat at the table, and our voice is respected, our voice is heard, and people care that we have involved. People see that before you. And I'll be transparent. The frustrating part for me is we were on the finish line 3 months ago in late January. We were on the finish line. And I think, honestly, Brian Armstrong, Team Coinbase was like, pause, let's slow this down a minute. And I think what they didn't calculate well is that in doing so, you create a little bit of a vacuum. And in Washington, when there's a vacuum, shit fills this. And so now you get objections. I mean, like the amount of things, I think you know this well also, but like the number of things that have become problematic for the Clarity Act includes housing, because of certain senator or Republican senator that cares about housing. And so, like, how does a housing trade impact the Clarity Act? So the frustrating thing is we were on the finish line. It wasn't perfect. I'm the first to admit that, but it was pretty good. And it's frustrating to know we find ourselves where we are. I am still hopeful. I'm using that word a little bit different than optimistic. I'm still hopeful. There is still momentum. But man, watching the sausage get made in Washington is tough to watch.
It doesn't pass. And under this bill, I believe Ripple has actually been grandfathered in as a commodity because of the ETF status.
Yep.
What does this mean for Ripple?
Well, it's grandfathering in two ways. And the most important thing, I know she's talked about this. People, I want everybody here to make sure they understand. XRP has clarity. XRP fought a very painful fight to get clarity. A federal judge said, in her opinion, XRP in and of itself is not a security. Boom. We have clarity. Like, that's what we care about. Ripple has leaned into supporting the Clarity Act because we think it's good for the industry. It's if we want the largest economy in the world, the United States, to lean into crypto in a way that help, it's good for Ripple if that happens. But XRP has clarity. And so again, there's a certain irony that people talk about. Like, I've chosen to ignore Charles Hoskinson on all this stuff. There's a lot of noise out there. I hope it passes. If it doesn't pass, I think that's unfortunate for a lot of other players in the industry in the United States. And I think what's hard is when I go talk to CEOs of banks, very senior people banks, they're nervous the next administration, when Paul Atkins is not there, then some of these things, there's just guidance can change.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like if you're a big financial institution that's had to deal with a SEC that has fined them billions of dollars, like they don't want to take a chance. So if we want the largest economy in the world to lean in, if we want the US to be as competitive as some other countries around the world in these technologies, we need the Clarity Act to pass.
And change as soon as it goes up, technically, if the House turns blue.
For sure. I mean, but my own personal view is, as you introduced in the question, we have a few weeks, and either this gets out of committee in the Senate Banking Committee. If it doesn't get out in the next few weeks, it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Because of the clarity that XRP has, and obviously you guys have come back to the United States, you've already started building out your infrastructure here.
We've invested a lot.
That's a lot, and 100%. Do you think that you guys will be okay?
I mean, XRP is going to be okay no matter what. I mean, obviously, the SEC announcement around the guidance was really positive. Yeah. But again, you got to go back to an independent federal judge. She was clear. She happened to be an appointee by a Democrat. So it's kind of like, look, XRP, you guys, good news. We're good. XRP has clarity.
Yeah, midterms, just because you could see some change there. Are you concerned that there could be that change there? Are you concerned to the point where you might be thinking about donating some more money to Fairshake? Because last election you donated around $50 million to that super PAC you get for crypto folks elected.
Yeah.
Ripple thinking about making similar donations this time midterms?
Like we will continue to lean into pro-innovation, pro-crypto candidates on both sides of the aisle. And you know, like I have been very appreciative that we have in the White House a very pro-crypto administration. I think the laws passed by Congress, and we want to see bipartisan support. I've said this a lot publicly, but as you know well, the fact that a technology became partisan is just madness. It's just crazy to me. Like, it's almost like saying, I've said before, email is a partisan issue. Like, sometimes you hate email because you're a Democrat, but you like email because you're a Republican. Like, it makes no sense. And it really does start, I think, for people that are here from Massachusetts. Senator Elizabeth Warren, I think, made this an issue by saying, I'm declaring war and I'm raising an anti-crypto army. What? I found it crazy. But.
Last one. Everybody that I've seen you use down interviews with in the last couple of weeks has asked you your prediction for when Clarity will pass. So I'm going to be no different. When's it going to pass?
Chat ready.
April 30th. I will give it to this end of the third week in May. If I don't know what the exact date that is. If it doesn't get out of committee by the end of the third week in May, I think we're in real trouble. If it gets out of committee, we're good because it will pass the Senate if it gets out of committee. There is bipartisan support at the Senate level if it gets out of committee.
Maybe with ethics thrown in there.
Well, that's a bigger problem, I think, in the committee than it is on the Senate floor. See, yeah. It's not well too well. How about you got that?
We'll set it up. All right, I think that's all we have time for. But everybody, give it up for Crack.
And
It's a special moment for XRP Las Vegas as we introduce another
I'll
chain.
put the fire emoji. Yeah.
That's right. Guys, please welcome Simon Falcani, moderator of Gerald.
Yeah! My God, bro, let's do it.
All right. Good afternoon. That is a tough act to follow. There from that down work. Yeah, that's very exciting. So as you just heard, I'm Gerald Gallagher. I'm one of the co-hosts of Crypto America on where I'm joined by Simon Falcani, founder and CEO of Zebec. Simon, exciting time here. Our first XRP Las Vegas. Yeah. Very exciting. And so I want to not maybe jump straight into the weeds. I know we were talking backstage. You were saying you've been building Zebec for 5 years now. So you're in it for the long haul. Tell me a little bit about the origin story and Zebec and how you guys got into the space.
Absolutely. Well, at Zebec, I say we're building the rails for the real-time finance economy. We always ask ourselves, why do payments take so long? Why is payroll done every 2 weeks or every month, right? And it comes down to the friction of payments. So by building technology on the blockchain, you're able to make real-time payments a reality. So we've been working on this for 5 years. We've made enormous strides in the past couple of years. We've now expanded out of our home of Solana onto other chains, and we're making a really big announcement here today as well.
Yeah, very excited to get into that. Tell me a bit. So we started out with payments. Now you're going into payroll. Why was that such an interesting use case for you guys?
When you think about it, payroll has not changed materially for the last 70 years, right? It's still run on legacy banking systems. It's reliant on the SWIFT network and ACH. Settlement times can still be in days, and employees don't get their funds for 2 weeks later, right? Why is that the case? So with blockchain technology, you're able to pay people theoretically in any increment of time at a very low marginal cost. So through the smart contract engine that we built at Zebec, that's our core technology, and it's the perfect fit with the payroll use case. Now, payroll's been our home and it's built where most of our business is, but we can see this technology going to any aspects of the economy where you're making payments in real time.
And so if payroll on chain is kind of a really interesting use case, you're looking at these real world flows, like where do you go from here? What's next for you? You mentioned an announcement though, if you want to hop into that.
Well, as I'm sure many of our community members know, that Zebec has been in talks with Ripple now for a long, long time. And we're making it official. Zebec is officially partnering with Ripple to build enterprise-grade payroll on the XRPL.
Yeah! Got it.
Yeah, that's a huge milestone. And I think we're incredibly excited to be working with Ripple. We see so many synergies with their network, with their enterprises, with their community. And I think this is really the perfect marriage with Zebec.
Yeah. And so tell me more about, you mentioned RLUSD. Talk to me a bit more about like what that partnership looks like. What are the advantages of migrating over Ripple, partnering with Ripple that you guys see?
Well, the XRPL is really a purpose-built blockchain for payments, right? It's been around longer than any other blockchain. It is one of the fastest in processing speeds, low cost,
very nice.
institutions and enterprises, which is really important for Zebec because we work with some of the largest corporate enterprises in the world. They need an institutional grade chain. They need someone with the track record of Ripple. And then Ripple, of course, has the infrastructure components that we can plug into. Things like Ripple payments for on and off ramps. RippleNet, which already works with over 300 financial institutions. And of course, Ripple has 75 licenses globally. So without that infrastructure and backbone, we wouldn't be able to work together.
Yeah, you mentioned the licensing, and we heard Brad Melker talk a bit about the policy front. Obviously, a huge milestone at the beginning of this year was the passage of the Genius Act, getting regulation around stablecoins in the United States. What did that do for global payments and working with enterprises the way Zebec does?
I would say that the Genius Act was a watershed moment for Zebec in the stablecoin industry. Before then, we were talking to enterprise CEOs, trying to explain to them what a stablecoin is. Now we're helping them select the right stablecoin and how to integrate it. I'd say after the summer when the Genius Act passed, we saw a huge change in the number of companies that are calling Zebec, trying to get onboarded with Zebec. So it's been incredible for our business, and we're excited to see what's next with the Clarity Act as well.
Yeah, that's it's a very exciting, I guess, prospect. We'll see. You know, I'm not going to ask you the over under on Brad's prediction on when that could actually pass. But so, how do you guys deal with these enterprise consumers who maybe were migrating from like a traditional fintech platform, something like Brex or Ramp, and now they want that real time settlement on chain that you mentioned? Like, what are those conversations like?
We try to make it as easy as possible for the corporate treasury teams. And that's one of the beauties of working with Ripple, is that Ripple Payments is so advanced in how it can connect fiat bank accounts. And I think upwards of 50 currencies. And in seconds, you're minting RLUSD. And from there, that's when Zebec's tech picks up the delivery. So through our smart contracts, we can get RLUSD out in any increment of time to any company or employee around the world. And then on the back end, we have the Zebec card suites, which is a MasterCard product that fully supports the XRPL and RLUSD. So when you get paid on Friday, you have the money on your card immediately to go pay your expenses or your bills, rather than having to wait for banks to open and get them into your account.
Yeah, yeah, super.
Yeah!
What about the Ripple ecosystem? We've talked about some of the licensing, some of the enterprise partners. You know, you were saying right before we walked on stage that Zebec has been known as a bit of like a baby XRP. What was so complimentary about this ecosystem to you?
I think it really comes down to the culture, right, of Zebec and Ripple. I mean, Ripple has this great connection between traditional finance and Wall Street, which is actually my background for Zebec, but also blockchain technology and, you know, leading edge change. So we're super excited about that. Also, compliance is part of their DNA. I mean, going through an SEC battle for all these years really toughens one. And it's Zebec, you know, we had to also get our compliance up over the past few years. Last year, we bought a compliance company called GateKnox. We built out our compliance team. We hit our SOC 2. We hit our ISO by the end of the year. We got MICA. And until we had that, we weren't really ready to work with, you know, a group like Ripple. But now we're kind of at that level where we're comfortable to do so.
Yeah. How much easier does that make it for you to work with these clients that you're going after? I mean, we talked primarily about US focus here. I know there's a lot of opportunities in things like remittances and, you know, cross-border payments in that space as well. Like, how do you look at global adoption and what that unlocks for you?
Well, compliance is a moat for us, right? I mean, if you're working with a large enterprise, the first question is going to be, what are your compliance standards, right? What is your AML? What is your KYC? We've checked all those boxes now. Now it comes down to which stablecoins are you working with. Right now, those stablecoins are created the same. I'd say RLUSD is probably the premier, most respected institutional grade stablecoin out there. So it's going to be an incredible addition to our portfolio and make sales to these enterprises so much easier.
And the same way, I think we saw just a flood of enterprises, large institutions look at stablecoins. You know, we talked a bit about how more regulatory clarity, both in the agencies and at the legislative level, could continue to unlock use cases, allowing you guys to build new things. Where do you see that heading, again, without getting into the over-under on the date? Like, what do you think would be unlocked for you guys if we continue to see this focus on regulation and compliance continue to develop?
It builds more trust in the system. And I think really the next leg of growth is going to see corporate balance sheets and treasuries coming on chain. Obviously, that's been a big focus of Ripple's through its own acquisitions. It's something that we're closely monitoring at Zebec, because if corporate balance sheets are now held in stablecoins, payroll becomes even that much easier to do at a click of a button. There's no on and off ramping. There's no dealing with.
And when we were getting ready to start this discussion today, we talked a little bit about the role that stablecoins and that dollar-denominated treasury plays, like, in the global economy. How do you look at projection of sort of the U.S., what do you want to call it, soft power, monetary influence, and stablecoins fitting into that sort of expansion of the dominance of U.S. dollars?
I mean, stablecoins, without a doubt, are one of the biggest drivers of maintaining dollar dominance, right? When you think about it, a stablecoin issuer is naturally a buyer of U.S. treasuries and an exporter of the U.S. dollar. And I think that payroll really unlocks the next leg of that. Because if you're someone that's working abroad outside of the U.S., let's say you're a developer in Lagos, right, in Nigeria, and you're getting paid in U.S. dollar stablecoins, you are now a customer of the U.S. system, even if the U.S. banking system wasn't able to reach you. And that's what's so exciting about it, because you can technically serve anyone in the world, no matter where they're located.
Yeah, we were talking about, I guess the volatility with global economy doesn't matter that much until all of a sudden you're dealing with the crisis, and you'd much rather be using dollars, right? Exactly, yeah. So where do we go from here? What kind of other products? You mentioned the card a little bit. Tell me more about the next kind of 3 months for Zebec. Right. So I mean, right now we're building on what I would call our own little financial ecosystem. Right. We have our payroll on stablecoin. We have a super app that brings the payroll together with our card suite, token trading, and staking all in one place. So we're trying to essentially replace the banking system, let you run your entire life on crypto, and then let enterprises unlock the power of stablecoins. Because we know that in the next 5 years, 10 years, we're going to see stablecoin flows into trillions and trillions of dollars, and stablecoin payroll will become the default. Right? It's just a matter of time, and we're very well positioned for that growth. Yeah. What about RLUSD specifically? Because I think one of the interesting things that's been happening is everybody's becoming an issuer, right? So like, what are some of the things that you're hoping to see over the next few years for the Ripple community more broadly, just in terms of projecting out, expanding into these institutional use cases and this projection of the dollar? Well, I mean, RLUSD is one of the gold standards for stablecoins out there, right? Like issued by a New York banking charter, backed by Ripple, which is of course supervised by the New York Department of Financial Services, backed 1-to-1 by cash and treasuries. It doesn't get more transparent than that. But I think what's most exciting for us is what I would call the treasury flywheel associated with RLUSD. If you look back a year ago, it was about a $200 million market cap stablecoin. Now it's eclipsed 1.5 billion. And as more of these treasuries come on chain and start participating in treasury management, custody, and eventually payroll through Zebec, there's a multiplier effect throughout the ecosystem. And that's how you're going to see RLUSD really take off and scale. And so on that note, what do the next few years, what's the biggest win that you're hoping for as you go into this next chapter as a company? Well, as I've always said, Zebec really is a white label provider amongst anything else, right? We build the rails for different ecosystems and blockchains to move value. So as we work with more blockchains out there, it expands our reach. We're also working with more fintechs and banking apps to be their card providers, to be their payroll rails. So that's the distribution side. So as long as those ecosystems continue to grow and have a successful go-to-market, Zebec's transaction volume will also grow with it. Yeah, tell me more about those partnerships with traditional kind of fintech players. Like, what does that look like? You talked a little bit about the regulatory clarity, being able to move some institutions, the compliance framework you guys have built, being able to give more of these institutions comfort. But what are some of the conversations like that you're having as you and who are some of the maybe competitors, or who do you see people moving off of when they're moving into an ecosystem like this? Well, we're actually very diversified globally. I mean, we worked recently with Deutsche Bank and their stablecoin in Europe, EuroAU, which has now helped us unlock European enterprises that want to pay people in euro-denominated stablecoins. In the US, the conversations are often about pilot programs with these larger enterprises. They're not going to go full in on stablecoin payroll, but it's something that they see themselves offering alongside traditional payroll. And we are very fortunate at Zebec to have members of ADP on our board of directors, and they've been there from the beginning. And we never sought really to take over ADP or disrupt ADP, but rather we're working alongside the ADPs of the world, the Assures and the Paychecks, right? As their blockchain rails, as we all know that building these things in-house take years and take a lot of expertise. So Zebec is ready and able to partner with these large enterprises. That's great. I think what would be the one big takeaway that you want to leave the audience with? I know you're going to be around, and I know you guys have a great presence out here on the floor. What would you want this audience to know about working with you guys, or where you're going next? Well, look, I think we all know that stablecoins are inevitable, right? They are going to take over the economy. It is just a matter of time. Get ahead of the curve. Reach out to us at Zebec. We have a booth here today. We're reachable, of course, on Twitter and Telegram, and we're happy to get your business onboarded either to our payroll solution. We can issue business cards for you backed by stablecoins, or we can get you onto our super app. So we're open for business. That's great. You gotta go get your wallet, your swag out there too. Exactly. Yeah, it's beautiful XRP Las Vegas branded wallet. So excellent. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I know we're getting in money.
Let's go, Simon!
Thank you, Simon, for thank you, XRP Vegas, for that. Thank you.
Let's go!
Damn, he dropped that bomb. Let's go, man. I'll be back later.
ZBCN. Should you? All right, everyone. So we need to talk about ZBCN and what's going on with the price action, because the price is pulling back a little bit, but is it something that we need to be concerned about? We also need to talk about whether or not it's smart for you to go all in on ZBCN, as some investors are going all in. We have a lot to discuss here. Trust me when I say this is one you do not want to miss. But remember, nothing here is financial advice. At the end of the day, I could always be wrong. So make sure you guys do your own research. All right, let's kick things off by taking a look here at the crypto bubbles. As we can see, today is a pretty decent day. There's been a lot of talks around Luna Classic again.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. I actually went across the street to pick the kids up, so I wasn't even here. So I don't know how long it's been out, but let me know what you guys think in the comments about what you've heard so far. And let me see, can we go back and let me see if there is another live stream. That's weird. Why the video? Oh yeah, that's something else. That's a scam. I'm gonna double check to see if there's anyone else streaming it. But in the interim, let's look through the comments. And I didn't even have. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, here we go. I didn't even have the script already cut for this video, so this is all live. We're doing it all live. So this is Zebec to the moon. What up, cow? Those scams going on. Don't get something for nothing. Definitely, bro. That's a good catch, because they burnt me with that shit the first time. You're gonna get twice what you put in. It's gonna get something. You're gonna get a new whatever for nothing. No, you don't. They're just gonna take your freaking crypto. What's good, fellas? Partnership was announced between ZBCN and XRP, replacing the banks. That's weird. Looking for a price pump. But we knew that was going to happen. There was no shock, right? There's not a, what is that? Buy the rumor, sell the news event. Who knew that wasn't coming? Zebec and Ripple are now partners. Now, what the haters gonna say? I know King Pound. Retail's tired. Ripple is booming. XRP is going backwards. Is it confirmed? Did Simon speak yet? What up, my brother? Massive FM. What up, brother? Massive news. Let's freaking go, baby. Simon just spoke. What announcements did he make? XRP, Zebec official. Let's get this trending. Like, comment, and subscribe. XRP and ZBCN below help the algorithm. Any news on the announcement? Had to rewind the stream. Ripple's FedMaster account app is live as of March 2026 with Zebec's PayFi now native XLM real or payroll lead. What is this? Kraken's historical approval. The walls is down. XRP and ZBCN are the new grid. It seems like XRP and Ripple as two separate companies. Zebec partnered with Ripple, not XRP. XRP and Ripple are separate. XRP was created later on. Ripple was gifted XRP. I've never seen beret haircut. Ripple's FedMaster account is officially under review for the following historic Kraken approval. ZBCN bridge to the new FedNow 2026 rails. XRP and ZBCN are becoming the native DNA for the U.S. grid. it's better to be partnered with Ripple anyway, definitely. Stay connected to XRP. Zebec's moving again. Damn, I wanted more. Partner with Ripple is much bigger than XRP. Great news. I wonder if Robinhood will list Zebec now. You know they are. Let's go. I'm pretty sure they're going to list them. I'm pretty sure they probably already got it stocked, right? They're waiting for this announcement because, you know, behind the scenes, these guys are all working together. So we're at the 0034 up 0.94%. I guess the news hasn't hit the street yet. See what we can do here. Let's see what we can do here and keep it moving. Oh yeah, that was this guy. Anybody's talking about the announcement yet? Hit her all day in due time. They will list a Zebec. Definitely hit her all day. Did Zebec partner with Ripple? Watch your mouth. XPR and Zebec partnership. They partnered with Ripple. Thanks. Time to get lit. No problem. That's bigger than XRP part. Yeah, Ripple would be, right? It's like the car manufacturer versus the engine manufacturer, right? Where is the live? You fell asleep. Wake up, BTM. Thanks, Trini, for life. I cashed out waiting for it to drop. I cashed out waiting for it to drop. Zebec's running on the XRP ledger. What an announcement. Ripple runs one of those nodes for XRP. Ripple don't own or partner with XRP. Yes, Simon is the one that said it. We have time. What a time to be alive, especially when your bags are packed. Zebec Ripple is official. XRP is the asset powering this Zebec utility. Help us trend. Comment XRP and Zebec below to push the algorithm. So I wonder if Zebec will be worth more than XRP. What do you guys think? Should I cash out my XRP and buy more Zebec? Questions. I'm tripping. I'm supposed to be looking for a video. Let's play this guy while we're waiting. Be right.
And lately, and the charts for this has just been looking quite remarkable. I don't know what's happening here, but yeah, some investors are placing their bets on Luna Classic. And that's the thing when it comes to crypto, you just never know what's going to pump next. But the one thing that we do know is catching FOMO and chasing coins that's already been pumping will almost certainly lead to capital loss. Okay, this is why I always tell you guys, stick to high conviction coins, especially during times like these, okay, where the market is just very unpredictable. If we come over here and we check out Bitcoin, Bitcoin is sitting at $76,000. It re-entered this bear flag that we've been talking about over the last couple of months. But according to this indicator, it's still looking kind of bullish on the 4-hour time frame here. All right, by the way, if you're looking for a great crypto indicator, you can check out my link to Trade Assist. Lets you know when's a good time to buy and sell crypto and when there's a bullish and bearish momentum happening in any particular coin. Now, let's get into ZBCN. So I came across a post here on X, and I believe this post, so this person is talking about me, and I believe it's a response to my video yesterday. I believe I was going through ZBCN posts, and someone said something about going all in. And then I said, guys, never go all in on any coin, no matter how bullish you are. Always learn from investors that are much smarter and richer than you are. For example, Warren Buffett, Mark Cuban, Kevin O'Leary, right? Those guys are not going all in on anything. They make concentrated bets, but they have multiple different investments in their portfolio, right? They're all
Ladies and gentlemen, boys
concentrated,
and girls, how much time
but they're not all in.
are
Okay, the riskiest thing that you can do is go all in something and then lose all of your money if things go south. I've seen it with people that I've actually known personally. Like, for example, Luna, and I've told you guys this story probably like 8 months ago or something like that. I know someone personally that got into Luna. He invested a whole ton of money. He wasn't all in, but he invested a whole ton of money. Luna was one of his highest conviction coins, right, a few years ago. And then Luna completely crashed and he lost it all, right? And I'm not saying that Zebec is going to do that, but what I am saying, make concentrated bets, but going all in, that's just not my style. Again, I learned from investors that are much smarter and much richer than I am. Okay, but going back to this post. So this is what the post says. Okay, so this post says this. Respectfully, Money and I see you pumping out ZBCN videos daily. You're not all in on ZBCN because you don't understand the project. You're just riding the wave, pumping out YouTube videos for views. Follow the Zebec podcast and educate yourself, brother. Again, this person clearly is not learning from people much smarter than they are, Warren Buffett and all those guys. Now, let's talk about me riding the wave of ZBCN, as ridiculous as it sounds, especially if you guys have been with me for the last like year and a half. Okay, so this is the very first video that I made on ZBCN over a year ago. ZBCN, will Zebec Network be bigger than XLM? The price was 0.0009. The first time I sent out a buy alert in my Discord, it was somewhere around a $75 million market cap. This was the very first time I made a ZBCN video. Now, if you go through my channel, right, what you're going to notice is over time, I started to increase the amount of times I make ZBCN videos. As you can see here, I was making ZBCN videos basically daily for an extended period of time. And this is why we saw ZBCN do just crazy things. If we come back here to the charts, right, we saw ZBCN do crazy things. This is where I was talking about ZBCN, making my videos, and ZBCN did this, right? It went parabolic. And even as ZBCN was coming down, I was still making ZBCN videos. I don't need to talk about ZBCN for views. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, guys. Let's come over here and I can show you guys, and then I'm going to get deeper into the price action. But I saw that a few people liked that post, and this is why I felt like I needed to cover it. Okay, so I was gone for a couple weeks, right, recently. And then I came back and I was making a lot of ZBCN videos. I was making a lot of Casper videos as well, as you can see right here. Now, check this out. Before my vacation,
Zebec holders, welcome back to another video. I did say that we were going to hop in the zone, and we have done.
11 days ago.
So where do we go
3
from here?
weeks ago. Before my vacation, if you check out my views, very consistent, whether I make a ZBCN video or not, 1.6K, right? 1.4K, 2.2K, 1.4, 1.9, 1.7. Project is, I make daily, or I have been over the last like week and a bit, making daily ZBCN videos is because I'm trying to not kill the momentum that ZBCN has going right now. Guys, you need to understand that ZBCN is a up and coming. It's not a up and coming crypto in terms of like community. It's up and coming. The community is slowly building. It's growing. 1000%. It's come a very long way, but we need to keep the momentum growing. And this is why, as a ZBCN investor, I'm trying to get more and more people aware of ZBCN, right? If no one knows about this project, the project is not going to go anywhere despite how great of a project it is. You guys need to understand that about crypto. And this is why I've been telling you guys, I haven't said it recently, but I've told you guys in the past, okay, if you're invested in something and someone is talking about it, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button so that more and more people can become aware of that project. So the project can be pushed out to more people. But some people, they don't want to do any work. They want to invest in the project. They want to watch the video. They don't want to hit the like button. So the video doesn't get pushed out and then no one knows about that project. And then you wonder, how come you're not making any money in your crypto portfolio? You have to do the work yourself. If you're not going to make the video, if you're not going to make posts on X about a project that you hold in your portfolio, you want you want people that are actually willing to put in the work. You want those videos.
Our community members know that Zebec has been in talks with Ripple now for a long time, and we're making it official. Zebec is officially partnering with Ripple. Our community members know that Zebec has been in talks with Ripple now for a long time, and we're making it official. Zebec is officially partnering with Ripple.
So there it is, the full announcement.
Our community members know that Zebec has been in talks with Ripple now for a long time, and we're making it official. Zebec is officially partnering with Ripple.
Yes. Training for life. Ripple is the parent company. XRP is part of Ripple. Ripple owns XRP, but Ripple is the parent company, right? They're not the same company. They're a subsidy of Ripple.
To get out to more investors, right? You got to do your part if you're going to be investing in crypto. If you don't want to do your part, then you're not going to make any money. And also, another thing that I need to talk about is I need you guys to not only look at bullish scenarios when it comes to project that you hold in your portfolio, also look at bearish scenarios as well. Some investors, they only want to hear good things. And anytime they hear something negative, they just lose their minds, right? That's not what you need to do. You need to keep a calm and level-headed mind at all times. Okay, you need to hear all sides of the story when it comes to something that you're investing in. Like I came across this post, right? And I believe I spoke about it in my video yesterday. So this person says, ZBCN will see new all-time lows. Now, I clicked on this post. I went to this person's X account, and then I realized that he's also been talking about ZBCN for a very long time. I think he was also probably one of the very first people that's been talking about ZBCN, if memory serves me correctly. I was, for sure, because I think there was probably like 3 other people that I know of that was talking about ZBCN before me, right? He could have been one, I'm not sure, okay? But you need to see all sides. If you're going to be an investor, you can't just only be bullish at all times. You have to see the negative viewpoints as well. Pay attention to it. It doesn't mean you need to follow it, but you need to hear what someone has to say without going immediately on the defense. And I know that's what some people do. They see something negative, they go completely on the defense, and then they end up losing all of their money. I'm not saying that's going to happen with ZBCN, but I've seen it time and time again in this space. If you guys have been watching my videos for a long period of time, I always tell you guys, ignore the people that tells you, oh, you better buy such and such now because you're never going to see those prices again. And what have I been saying? You always end up seeing those prices again. Never let someone make you become bullish because of your research. And obviously on the flip side, never become bearish because someone is talking bearish. Become bearish because of your own research. Okay, at the end of the day, no one's in charge of your portfolio except for yourself. It's your money, no one else is. Hear both sides. Don't always be defensive because someone doesn't agree with you. That's how you lose money in crypto. I've seen it time and time again. And guys, I've been investing for a very long time. I've seen it all. I've heard it all. I've heard people say, get mad at me because I'm not talking bullish things about their project, and then the project come crashing down, and then it just doesn't recover, right? And this is why I say, always hear both sides of the story. But going into ZBCN, if we come over here, we can see that right now the price is currently at a double bottom recently anyways, right? Sitting at 0.0033. I'm hoping that this doesn't form a bearish head and shoulder pattern, even though it kind of looks like it kind of did. But we're going to see, right? I mean, oh, yeah, it does look kind of like a head and shoulder bearish pattern. But ZBCN, it's still in this bullish momentum according to this indicator here. But yeah, I do see a scenario where this can't potentially break, and ZBCN could potentially come down to like 0.0029, right? And honestly, if you're bullish on this project because of your research, then there's no need to really panic. If you're looking to accumulate more, then you could definitely do that somewhere down here, 0.0029. And if if Bitcoin decides to break below $70,000 and the market does something disgusting, then another good entry price is down here, 0.0025. But I'm holding ZBCN for the long term. I highly recommend that investors take profits on the way up on not just ZBCN, but everything that you hold in your crypto portfolio, because we see what could happen. All it takes is one tweet from Donald Trump that could send this market down to its knees. But if you conducted research and you want to continue to hold this thing, you don't want to take any profits because you know what you hold and whatever your trading strategy is, I recommend just sticking to your trading strategy. It's as simple as that. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Check out a few of the links down below. And until next time, take care.
So I saw this video, so I wanted to see what he had to say. So let's see what he is talking about real quick. I'm tripping. I didn't even have my ZBCN shirt on. I mean, I got it on, but I had a shirt on top of it. So yeah, let's see what this guy's talking about. If you own Zebec, watch this video. So let's see what the word on the curb is. Oh wow. I literally just put the sound back on this.
That's what you guys have been telling me in the comments. Zebec holders, welcome back to another video. I did say that we were going to top in this zone, and we have done. So where do we go from here? I know that there's the XRP conference and Zebec's a part of it apparently, so that's what you guys have been telling me in the comments. I did say just keep an eye out for the decline now, and I said just watch out, it's going to be a buyer of the room, sell the news kind of event, and we're going to get this last push to the upside, and we have done. So after this last push to the upside, we've had a really nice extension in this wave 3. We had a CDW of the previous highs over here. CDW stands for chicken, drinks, water, guys. It's just a different kind of pattern that not many people talk about. Not many people know about it. It's more of a market cipher B kind of a thing. So if you're interested in learning about market cipher B and all the rest of the trading strategies that I use, check out the video pinned in the top right corner. Completely free crypto guide and how I trade and how I've learned to trade and how my VIP group trades as well. So definitely feel free to check that out. So yeah, as you can see here, we have bearish divergence across here on the PA. PA stands for price action, while we also have bearish divergence here on the market cipher Bs. So confirmed bearish divergence there. And then we also have confirmed bearish divergence over here too. So as you can see that, really nice bearish divergence. This confirmed to me that the top is in, or the top is very close to being in, and it actually ended up being in. Why? Because our Bollinger Band strategy worked out perfectly as well. We had a break above the Bollinger Band, we had a back test into support of the Bollinger Band, and from there we had a tap of resistance, and then we worked our way down. Ultimately, because this move extended a lot higher, well, not a lot higher to be honest, quite a few, just 11% higher. Because it's moved up 11% higher, our support zone will move up a little bit here. So our entry for our long that we want to take, I do think we would have to adjust it a little bit more. The way I'm going to calculate this is I'm going to send it into the VIP group. So if you're interested in joining the VIP group and you're ready to take the next long, not financial advice, but we're going to be taking a big long on Zebec very, very soon. So I am just going to keep an eye out for it. We are now in the resistance zone that we were in previously, and we can flip this as support. So this is something I'm keeping an eye out for. I don't want to be very blasé and just say, okay, guys, we're following the red count or we're following the white count. It's very 50-50 right now, and I don't really want to make the call until we're in support. As you can see here, support lies around the 0.00024894 zone. So as you can see here, our support is right here. And that's where our wave 4 is right now. Like I said, we're going to have to adjust it. And the way we adjust it is by bringing it up higher. So ultimately, the lowest zone that we can take along now is the 0.87 fib, and the highest we could take along is in and around 0.618 fib. So then the next two key targets I'm watching out for. Everything's gone exactly as planned for Zebec. You know, many people were saying, "Oh, Zebec's gonna fail. It's gonna go down," and then I go back to the comment, and the guys delete the comment. So, you know, I said it in the previous video. Don't ever doubt the TA. The TA never lies. It never lies. You know, yeah. If I release a video and it goes down like 2% or 3%, or it goes up 2 or 3% from when I've made the video, just know I've filmed the video probably 2 hours or 3 hours before. You know, the videos don't come out straight away. There's always a little bit of a time gap between the videos and uploading, just so that the algorithm can maximize, you know, so the videos get as maximum reach. I'm a small channel, you know, we only have 2,000 subscribers. I'm so grateful for every single one of you guys to comment why you love Zebec and who is your favorite Zebec YouTuber. Comment in the comment it below so that I can reach out to them and we can do a collab, so I can show them what I'm seeing on the charts and they can tell me all the news and all the information about Zebec as well. I think that would be awesome. But yeah, at the moment, the red count is still valid because it can still be a 5-way move up in APC correction to the upside before we get a 5-way move to the downside, breaking these lows that we had on the 6th of February 2026. So again, I don't favoritize the red count. I prefer the white one. Why? Because it gives me a bias to take along. I have a really nice clear stop loss there as well, just below these lows that we had on the 28th of March. So they're the key things I'm watching out for. Also, if you're interested in learning to trade and where I trade and where the VIP group trades, we trade on BTCC Exchange. You will get a 10% deposit bonus on whatever you deposit over $200. This runs out in 4 days, guys, so you really have to make the most of it. It's one of the most trusted exchanges in the world. They've been around for over 14 years. All the big crypto YouTubers all work with BTCC Exchange, especially while the market's been going down. They've been absolutely amazing. Being able to give out these offers is crazy during market conditions like they are right now. You also receive a $100 coupon as well. So if you make any losses in and around the $100 zone, you will get a $100 coupon the next business working day. Said you will get this 10% deposit bonus on whatever you deposit over $200. We have some guys in the VIP group who deposited $200,000 and they ended up getting $20,000 to trade with completely for free. So it's absolutely awesome. So yeah, only works if you sign up with the link in the comments below. So back to the chart again. Ultimately, I want this white scenario to play out. I want this move to the upside. 3-day time frame. Ultimately, this is setting us all up for the 0.618 and the 0.786 from current price, which I don't want to take along. But if we did take along from current price, it's around a 68% move to the upside, and to the 0.8 around 102% to the upside. Again, I want my average to be down here. So that becomes an even better risk reward ratio. It comes 127% and then 175%. And then our 1618, which is our blown off target for every single altcoin or every single asset within the world. You know, it can be a stock, it can be Forex, it can be anything. You know, the 1618 is always the target that we want to hit. It's around 401%. Using 10x leverage becomes 4,000% to the upside. So this is the reason why in the VIP group we're watching Zebec closely, and we're going to take a long as Zebec. As you can see here, we ended up taking a really nice long on Bitcoin. Remember, done over 40% there. Absolutely, congrats to them. I ended up taking a long on Bitcoin as well. Ended up doing 77%. Brought in over $20,000, huge position there. As you can see here, another member ended up taking another long on XMR over 100%. I ended up taking a Nike long, so did quite a few members as well, up 12% on Nike. Yep, we trade stocks too, guys. Another Bitcoin long from another member. So yeah, we've really been locking in and focusing. Another member done 21% on Ravecoin there as well. So huge shout out to the VIP group. If you're interested in joining, all you got to do is go to the Crypto Wamar website and you can see real results here. So all the results are here. These will need updating. I'll update with the most recent ones as well. So every week I'll update these from now on. But yeah, if you want to join the inner circle.
We're doing fantastic. Today we're going to be talking about the one, the only legendary, you guessed it, Zebec Network. Before we jump into Zebec, let's talk about the potential concerns with Bitcoin. We can see that we have broken out of this trend, right? But we do have a little bit of grace, right? We do basically have this kind of support zone down here. And we are looking basically to see how Bitcoin is going to be reacting off of the zone. If we do see Bitcoin reclaiming certain territory, very, very good. If not, then of course we can be going back down to even 71K, which obviously will reflect even something like the price of Zebec. Overall, we can see right on the daily candle, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and even like six daily candles where we're kind of making a support over here, right? Now, I don't necessarily think the support is going to hold that long, right? Usually, I'm not the biggest fan of support and resistance overall, especially when it comes to kind of the classic, right? The horizontal. But overall, it is still a good sign that we are already slowing down. I do think that we will be filling out this imbalance over here, anywhere between 0.00, let's just say 3 and the 3.2, basically, right? I do think that we will tap into this area at one point. I say this just because basically Zebec has been super, super fundamental. We can see when we did even have an expansion over here, right, from kind of these bottoms. We did retrace a good amount, almost 0.78. We did basically fill up most of the imbalance. We did leave a little bit down here, but nothing too crazy, right? Nothing too crazy. And then other than that, I mean, it's just like micro imbalances, which don't really count too much. We have one over here, right? One over here, and then we have another little one like over here. But the thing is, if it gets filled up on the 4-hour, it is fine, right? It is fine. If we go on the 4-hour, this is basically like the only little zone where there's a little bit of imbalance. So like I said, it's very, very micro. It is very, very micro. The markets don't literally always have to fill up all of the imbalances 110%. They could just fill them up, a good amount, 60, 70, 80%, and then just continue moving on. Especially like I said, that this is all fundamental, literally not a single gap. And basically up until we get to the daily here, right? The daily over here. So that is what I'm just looking for, right? Possibly a little bit more of a sell-off, but nothing too crazy. We did say that, we had this huge surge in price, right? Did have this huge surge in price. We did overtake this swing high over here. And that we do have to realize that, after doing this such a big accomplishment, after pumping up, basically 45% in a week, and even including this week at one point, almost 55%, that some retracements are inevitable, right? I would not be surprised if we kind of start going in this type of channel again, where we kind of do this, and eventually we go
The
sideways.
XRP community is about to come into
right? It is inevitable. You cannot just be expecting, consistent pumps like this types of pumps where we just had them for 2 whole weeks and they were just super, super great, especially considering the fact that in this context, we were expanding out of the zone, right? We were going above the zone. Right. So imagine like we were exiting the 0.0072 and moving on to 1 cent, 2 cents, and etc. Right. That would be the same context. Here, we are recovering price. So it's kind of like what we experienced maybe somewhere here where we are starting to recover price. Now, I'm not saying, Zebec is going to come back down and crash fully. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is basically, it's going to be like a staircase, right? Where we go up, down, up, down, up. Trend is looking good. The same thing that when we go and look at the daily over here, right? Overall, we experienced having down periods, up periods, going down for a while, up, down, but ultimately it was just staircasing to the upside, right? And that's a really, really good thing. Also, in terms of the bigger picture, right? When we go and look at a couple of factors, boom, right? We have this zone over here that we are kind of bouncing off of, right? We touched it. Now we're rejecting a little bit. That's fine because we do have another huge zone over here, right? So even if we do come down a little bit lower, like I said, that's okay because we're just going to be bouncing off zone to zone. And eventually we are going to break further and further. You have to realize that after a big move, things like Zebec, in fact, any crypto just needs a little bit of rest, right? It's the same thing. Imagine like going to work, going to the gym, or whatever you do. At the end of the day, you still need to sleep and you still need to rest. And, it's a key, important, fundamental thing for a human. Same thing for the markets, except with the markets, sometimes it can just take a little bit longer, right? It's not just you sleeping 7 or 8 hours. It's you possibly retesting things for a week, a couple of weeks. So, but the same thing applies, right? The same thing applies. Overall, it is looking good. It is looking great. Like I said, we are above this kind of channel over here, right? Which we were contending for a couple of weeks, trying to break out of it. And last week we did. Very, very nice. There is, like I said, a good possibility that we do come back down, retest the classic horizontal support, and also this diagonal support to then eventually go back up. That would be like the most fundamental thing, but we'll see, because we do have the convention, we do have the XRP convention happening, and that's something that we do have to consider, right? If we do at the end of the day get insane good news, then right, we could see further pumps. We really can, because if we do get some next level adoption or some next level integration, you have to realize that, you know, even seeing a 1% of the money from XRP or from institutions would cause huge surges in the price. So yeah, man, that's something we just have to consider. That's something that we're just looking at. And at the end of the day, you know, only time will tell. The convention is happening right now, right? We are having the convention. So that is very good. We will be obviously updating you guys, you know, about the convention in the fundamental videos. As for the technicals, like I said, everything is just moving fundamentally right now. In terms of the monthly candle, I do want to see it close a little bit stronger, right? Because when we go look at it from the monthly, we have not taken over the monthly swing high, right? That is just a fact. So like I said, that's why there's still room for us to go down a little bit, because we have not taken out the monthly swing high over here, right? Boom, boom, boom. Consistently, if we were to close this way, we would still create a lower high in terms of the monthly swing points. Okay. But yeah, like I said, you know, even if May sees a little bit of slowdown, right? Some sell off, we could see June absolutely going back up to the 0.005, if not even the 0.0063. At the end of the day, like I said, only time will tell. But that's ultimately going to be it, though, ladies and gentlemen. We will be looking at some of the basics. We will be looking at some of the things right here. When we go and look at Zebec Network, we can see we are ranked 105 out of 8,474 active cryptos. In the last month, we're up 42%. In the last week, we're up almost 10%. In the last 24 hours, we're down a little bit more than 1%. We can see when we go look at the holders that we are consistently rising. We are bouncing back. We did have one day of sell-offs. That's because people were probably just taking their profits. That is it, though. I love you guys so much. Let me know if you are at the XRP, you know, Zebec convention. I know some people like Zebec Man and a few others are. Let me know if you guys flew out or if you're just watching from the sidelines. That is going to be it, though. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.
Have been asking me on my main channel about a deep dive into Zebec Network, and I figured why not give you guys what you want.
So you notice that too. A lot of people are starting to talk about Zebec. More YouTubers and influencers. More people are popping out the woodworks. Like I talk this Netcash Incash. I see his videos all the time, right? And he's talking about Zebec. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. comment.
ZBCN has been making tremendous moves lately, and ultimately I have been watching the chart for a much larger extended breakout, but I figured now would be like one of the best times to really kind of address this project, because I do suspect that we are most likely going to get a nice little pullback here where we do get a prime buying time again. Now, let's actually do a full OG throwback to when I actually first started the Ncash official channel, because I used to do breakdowns like this, and I kind of want to start doing them again. And this is the channel that I'm most likely going to utilize for pretty much all altcoin related, you know, breakdowns. So let's actually look at the price chart number one. So right off the rip, yes, I'm looking at roughly the 0.002 level to about 0.0027. So this midline area would be a great area for us to really kind of accumulate if we see it again. It's not too much higher than where we are right now. We're talking about like a 20%, potentially even a 37% drop. Do I think that this is going to be a full drop here? Not exactly, but you know, I still think that the market could have a potential pullback. So I'm watching for a, you know, nice level down here to be tapped. But I don't think that accumulating this one right now is a bad move either, considering the fact that, you know, we're at number 103 in terms of like the top rankings. The market cap is sub $500 million. The circulating supply, I mean, guys, 99.99% of the supply is already out there. So like all of the supply is out there. And the main thing that I'm really kind of looking at with projects like this is, is it all hype? Like we've been hearing about ZBCN for quite some time. And I do remember that in the XRP community, there was a few projects getting tossed around. There was like Velo, then there was Stronghold, and now we're seeing Zebec making a ton of noise. Now, some of those projects definitely do, have a lot of great utility tied to it, a lot of great moves to them as well. But Zebec actually makes a lot of sense from my perspective. Again, I was missing out on this project for a bit of time because, number one, for those that are unaware, I just had my first child delivered in November. So that's been taking a lot of time away from me while I keep consistent updates pushed on the main channel. But now I'm getting a little bit more time and I'm starting to really kind of build the Crypto Crusaders group a little bit more. And I figured, why not give you guys a lot more valuable information and content? So let's actually dive on in and kind of look at what I've been missing. So number one, right off the rip, I want to start off with the ecosystem, because the ecosystem for Zebec is pretty significant. And just so that you guys can see everything here, here we have the full breakdown. So let me kind of zoom out just so that you guys can see it. So Zebec ecosystem map, we have the TradFi and payroll rails. Now these are just like payroll rails in general, like payment rails, JP Morgan, Nacha, NatPay, pretty big names. Love to see it. Then we also have the privacy side, Dash, OG token, right? We've talked about Dash in the past on the main channel. We also have DeFi and wallet infrastructure, some pretty big names as well. Love to see Uphold there. Love to see Tangent there, Stripe as well, even World of Liberty Financial. And then we also have institutional infrastructure on the left, which you have Circle, Anchorage Digital, Uphold Institutional, Ondo, Paxos, some great names that I'm aware of. Networks and ecosystems. So this is where things get a little bit interesting, because we have a lot of great ecosystems from the community side of like some pretty big names like Algorand, Canton. We also have Stellar, Ripple. So awesome to see. I mean, again, like the names here are awesome. Even like the investors, right? You have Coinbase Ventures, GRS Ventures, Solana Ventures. Like these are names that if you're a VC in some of these, like if you're looking at like the VCs that are investing in some of these top projects, these are the VCs that you typically see. And then, of course, we do have stablecoin rails. ROUSD is tapped in. You have a lot of like other larger stablecoins as well, like PYUSD, even yours, also USDC. So pretty cool. In terms of like blockchains and things like that connected, you have 21 blockchains, you have 50 plus white labels, 100 plus supported countries, 150 plus assets integrated, and 30 plus exchanges. So the ecosystem is definitely growing. They've been expanding rapidly over the last couple, it's like over a year or so now. So they've been making their name known. And by the way, just going off of like support on socials, almost 300,000 followers. So the community is pretty large, 128,000 views on this, incredible engagement. So Zebec is making noise. Now, on top of that, let's go back to the white paper, because what type of utility does ZBCN as a token have? Well, it's a governance and utility token within the Zebec ecosystem, which also allows holders to participate in governance decisions that impact the network and its ecosystem. Holder voting power is proportional to the ZBCN they own, providing a decentralized approach to network upgrades and improvements. They also serve as a medium of exchange for accessing Zebec Network's services, such as real-time payment streaming. As a next-generation token, ZBCN represents an evolution from the original Zebec protocol token, ZBC, without additional token minting. The rights associated with ZBCN are governed by the protocol level rules and may evolve through community-led governance and validator consensus. Again, pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy there. Now, the tokens are specifically, well, they're primarily utilized to access and pay for streaming payments within Zebec Network services. In the ecosystem, these tokens allow users to initiate, pause, and cancel streams, interact with Zebec virtual cards, and access integrations with third-party applications across supported blockchains. The tokens are freely transferable, subject to the rules and governance of the underlying protocol and to the applicable terms of services and exchanges where they are listed. Now, on top of that, they do mention a few additional use cases down here, which I wanted to kind of go over as well, because again, this is like the full white paper. I kind of read a bit of it, kind of skimmed through it a bit as well. But this is where I'm really kind of looking into really what Zebec is trying to do and accomplish, and of course what ZBCN also really kind of plays a key role in. So Zebec Network is a decentralized infrastructure platform purpose-built to enable continuous real-time financial transactions. Its mission is to deliver programmable money flows that enhance liquidity, reduce counterparty risk, and eliminate inefficiencies inherent in traditional financial systems. The network supports streaming payments, on-chain payroll, and cross-border transfers, allowing businesses and individuals immediate access to capital. Now, the key applications that they are trying to build here, because they do have, a full infrastructure layer behind it. This includes Zebec AI or ZAI, and then ZPIN, which is like a DPIN. It's a play on words, right? So ZPIN, an IoT-enabled payment infrastructure enabling real-world crypto transactions in physical retail environments. And then PGP, which is their payroll growth partners, which is a U.S. licensed payroll entity enabling regulated off-chain integrations for real-world deployment. So this is pretty cool. Again, I would like to see this be like on-chain, off-chain as well. Like you could have it on-chain, off-chain, but it is an off-chain initiative, but that's not too concerning to me at all. They're also positioned as a decentralized real-world asset and payments infrastructure network serving both enterprises and consumers across multiple blockchains. So pretty cool. Again, the main thing that we are looking at is just how ZBCN really kind of plays a vital role. And their plans here for ZBCN is central to the governance and utility of the Zebec ecosystem. So pretty much everything around Zebec has ZBCN in mind. Very similar to like other platforms that we've talked about, like even Hedera with HBAR. So this is pretty cool. And then, of course, past achievements include the launch of the core settlement protocol, cross-chain SDK deployments, Zebec Pay app, and also the rollout of Zebec's multi-chain crypto card products. Planned but not guaranteed developments for 2025 include the Zebec Pay super app deployment, which, by the way, I love when these platforms actually stay committed and do exactly what they want to do. The super app is now live as of February 25th of this year. 1.4 million views, massive engagement, guys. Like, this is awesome. And of course, yes, ZBCN is utilized for fees. That's what I like to see. And this is powered by Circle's USDC as well. It's payroll for individuals, now available on desktop, built on Zebec Rails. This is incredible. So this already launched. Then next up, we also have the ZBCN staking and rewards, which, by the way, that also launched under the super app. On their website, you can go to superapp.zebec.io/Solana/staking. You can just connect your wallet. There's multiple wallets here as well, and basically earn 3% APY as of currently on your ZBCN. Which, by the way, that's also probably why, like, if you went over to like the holders tab, I'm not too sure if you're like looking at specific networks, but a lot of the supply is held by some of these wallets. These are most likely staking reward wallets, by the way, if anyone was kind of concerned about that. But also, they do have the card expansion, the pilot and scaling for the ZPIN, the Zebec Physical Infrastructure Network, the Zebec AI integration, and then the Zebec Vault launch as well. And yeah, I mean, this is awesome to see. Like, it seems as though they have a full stack that they want to launch. On their website, if you actually look at the ZBCN, you do have a few of the things here that you can really kind of read about. You also have the products as well as Zebec cards, payroll. This is their DPIN platform as well. This is their full breakdown of exactly what they're doing with ZPIN. That's their play on words, like I said. Now live at selected small and medium businesses in the United States as well. This is their next gen POS for stablecoin payments, which is pretty cool. Like, it seems as though they want to achieve mass adoption through a lot of their, actual major products that they're pushing. And of course, with ZBCN being utilized for fees, I definitely think that that's very exciting. But also, the main reason why I really kind of wanted to do a breakdown was on April 22nd, I saw that Zebec and Ripple were starting to kind of make some moves together. So Simon, who is, of course, the founder of Zebec, he said big things in the works. And then he posted the Ripple headquarters. I thought this was very interesting. Obviously, we haven't heard too much about this, but it really would not surprise me at all if this was like, a major partnership announcement similar to what we've been seeing already with like Stellar and even Circle. For those that don't know, here we have the announcement with Stellar. So Zebec is building on the network and going live with stablecoin payroll soon. More details to follow. That was back in March. And then we did see over here from Zebec, Stellar Org has selected Zebec as its global stablecoin payroll infrastructure provider for the Stellar ecosystem. This expands our partnership with one of the original blockchain networks in crypto, powering global payments and remittances, including a direct integration to MoneyGram's 50 million customers across Latin America and beyond. And our expansion to Stellar marks the first native payroll streaming launch outside of Solana and marks a new chapter for Zebec as our real-time payroll product begins its rollout across more payments-oriented and institutional-grade blockchains, which, like I said, this could definitely include XRP with the XRP ledger and potentially even ROUSD being really tapped in. We know that ROUSD is already a part of the ecosystem, but I think that this could just kind of expand on that. And then, of course, we do have Circle. Circle has been working with us since day one as both an infrastructure provider and also an early backer. And USDC has been at the core of Zebec's ecosystem from the beginning, powering real-world payments across payroll, card spending, and cross-border transfers. And yeah, Zebec is a part of the Circle Alliance program member and is also helping expand how stablecoins are used across real-world applications and on-chain payments. And that's all through, of course, that deep inside of the game through like POS systems, but also you have payroll and things like that. So this is awesome. And yeah, you do have a lot of things tied back to Zebec. You even have the cards and stuff like that. It's already accepted at 100 million plus merchants worldwide. Like they've been making, like, believe it or not, like Zebec has been making a lot of noise. It's just that a lot of people haven't really been listening up until recently. So they're killing the game. We do have some of the impact here. So like $500 million in annual payroll volume. We also have 250 plus enterprise clients, 50,000 plus monthly users on and off chain, and then 18 plus chains and 150 plus tokens integrated. So they are really moving fast, and it's awesome to see. I think that this is very bullish. And then if we really look at their vision, they build blockchain-powered financial products that transform how people live and work. And I definitely think with what we're already starting to see here from Zebec, I don't think that they're going to have a problem achieving that at all. Like they are starting to really move fast. They already have a ton of companies under their belt tied back to the Zebec ecosystem to really kind of expand it. And they already have a ton of great partners, including a lot of names that, we know about as well. So it's awesome. It's awesome. It's incredible. And yeah, I'm very excited about Zebec. I'm very excited to see where it goes. The two main negatives from my point of view with Zebec, and the only two things that I would change. I wish that the team behind Zebec had a little bit more experience in finance. And I'm talking about like the first three names here, like the CEO, the CMO, and even the head of MMA and also capital markets. But again, like I don't think that that's like a big negative thing. Like, yeah, some of the experience here is a little bit lackluster compared to some of the other ecosystems that we know about. But like that's not going to be like a major drawback or anything like that. The main thing that I really kind of look at with any sort of project like this is if the team is fully doxed. And yes, their team is fully doxed from their advisors to the actual names behind it. That's like the only negative that I could really kind of find here. Beyond that, like they are absolutely killing the game. Like they are pushing forward. They're actually launching things that they outlined in their white paper back in 2025. So it seems as though they're actually starting to really kind of, do the thing that they wanted to do and accomplish. So they're absolutely killing the game. They're doing a very solid job. I think that if you can, buy the dip on this and just accumulate, I mean, realistically speaking, I've seen charts where we look back in time and like buying anything around these levels down here won't matter. Like when some of these projects really kind of go crazy, it's questionable on how high they can go. But when you look back, like the buying opportunity, when you see it, it might not seem like a buying opportunity. You might be even scared to buy, but for the most part, like you really want to start looking at some of these projects that are doing, some crazy things. Like Zebec is still kind of under, I want to call it like an underground token still, because like, again, like not a lot of people are really looking at it. Yes, their engagement is crazy. Yes, they do have a strong community, but for the most part, like, Zebec is still outside of the top 100, which means it has a lot more potential left in it. So overall, main thing that I would change is just simply like a little bit more experience from the team, but I don't think that I don't think that they have to really worry about that. I think that they're killing it right now. I think that they're doing a great job. I think that ZBCN, if they continue to do what they're doing, if they continue to expand the way that they are, and if they continue to see the type of momentum that they see on their socials that kind of translates into just the apps being utilized, people tapping in, utilizing these platforms as well, I don't think that they're going to have a problem being a very successful project in the space. So with that being said, hope that guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, definitely like, subscribe, set notifications on. If you guys want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow us on X, as well as join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
All right, guys. I guess this is it for the stream. I might pick one up later, but you can see here ZBCN is up, coming back down, up 1.8 on the hour, 3.2 on the day, 11.3 on the week, up 50.3 on the month, and 181% on the year. So thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, let's get back to the money, guys, and stay dangerous. It's your main man, BTM, signing out. Miners out.